So this is like what would happen if like the apocalypse happened. I was thinking about like if the devil ever came around and was like trying to like be like fight me and shit. Like, I mean, what are you gonna do in that situation? Are you just gonna stand there? I fucking tried to pop him in the face at least a couple of times. I'm surprised with a bunch of people in hell like they haven't tried to take over the devil and shit. Like beat that fool's ass and shit. Everybody starts climbing out of there or something. Like seriously, like all right, like what if it's like all overhyped, right? Like here's like the scenario pretty much, right? Like say like there really came a time where like the devil came out, right? Like everything starts kind of going apocalyptic. You see angels flying in the sky, fucking playing their trumpets, and fucking all this crazy shit starts happening. And in reality, like say like the fucking ground actually starts cracking and shit, and everybody's kind of like wondering like what the fuck's going on. They actually put it all on like fucking live TV, and it's all like broadcasted around the world. They're like, it looks like hell's like about to start, and like the fucking ground cracks. And in reality, you see this like fucking devil creature and shit, and he does come out, and he's pretty big. Like he's like 3 times the size of a human. But in reality, we got like our military and shit. We got a bunch of fucking airplanes. We got nukes like aiming at this motherfucker, and like there's like everybody's just kind of prepared, and they're like broadcasting. We see this devil dude and shit, and sure he's like attacking a couple of cars and everything. And even if like a bunch of fucking like devils come out, a bunch of them come out and shit, they actually look like the fucking pan creature in the fucking Greek mythology, but like they're red and shit, and say they might be able to throw a little bit of fire. But then like our fucking like military, like like our first fucking infantry, they come in, they start blasting a bunch of them, and they start dying. And then in reality, it's like, holy shit, like that was kind of easy. And then like the cars come in, they shoot them, and like they all start falling. And like maybe after like 13 minutes, like we pretty much ended up like fucking up like all of the devils. And even if they all kind of fused together and created a little bit bigger one, like fucking airplane comes real quick and fucking drops like a little mini missile, and boom, fucking devil just like dies and shit. And everybody's kind of like thinking like, holy shit. I mean, like that was a little bit overhyped, right? Like everybody's still kind of like waiting, like everybody was like ready to like fucking get down, but like we didn't even really have to use like the beginning of like a fraction of our military or anything. It's like, man, like people in the hood probably could have came out with guns and blasted like all of these motherfuckers. Like people at like at their homes with shotguns could have came out and like blasted them and shit. Maybe a couple people with like some fucking like those fucking liquor bottles that fucking turn into fire. But like in reality, they had no like special talent. Like they just came out. I think like back in the days, they were just kind of like a little overhyping the fucking devil. Like back then, I could see the devils coming out and like doing some fucking damage. But like in today's world, like that motherfucker wouldn't stand a chance. So they could have been wrong, man. Like I'm not saying they were or anything like that. But like to think like this devil's gonna come out and just like kind of like claim the fucking throne or some shit. Like hell no, man. Like a lot of people would like be ready to like blast that motherfucker. And then everybody's kind of like, that was easier than we thought. And then all of a sudden, like everything starts kind of like going crazy. And then like zoom, like this kind of like Jesus just pops out of nowhere, like all like through like fucking like like he just kind of like teleported into like existence. And he's like whispering like some prayers and stuff, and like finalizes and closes like the ground. He disappears again. He's in the sky, and he's like calling out like all the 144,000 people, and he creates this kind of like super shiny like ship, and they vanish and stuff. And then he comes back, and he does like a little prayer, and he like kind of like leaves, and everybody's just kind of like, what the fuck just happened, dang? Like, hey, motherfuckers, if you guys ain't with those 144,000 that just left, and like y'all stuck here, like we're all fucking stuck here, dang, what do we do now? You know? And everybody's just kind of like, what the fuck did we just see? And they're like streaming it all around and everything. Everybody's just kind of like, what the fuck? Was that really what the apocalypse was supposed to be? That shit wasn't like as crazy as we thought it was gonna be. We're just kind of all like scratching our head. Like, I mean, Jesus coming out like real quick and like vanishing, calling people, and look like all fucking trippy. Like if he was like a Goku or something, but like he just came in, really looked like Jesus, but like, and like the rest of the 7 billion people are still stuck here. And we're like, what the fuck? Like, so what do we do next? You know? And then the sky gets all nice, and God's like, finally, it's up to you guys. Like, what do we do now? And shit. And we're all sitting at home like, so what's next? Like shit, like, so that was it, huh? That was pretty much it. You know, it's trending and everything. I was like, man, that fucking apocalypse was a little overhyped. You know, like, I mean, it really like, like humans evolved and we're just like bring it, devil, like whatever. Everybody could have got fooled, man, but like Pandemic, the little goat man, Pan's Labyrinth, the devil, you know, someone that's sitting down all the time, super hard kicks, like bam. But like in reality, like that Pandemic, y'all got suckered into believing that shit. Dang, I told y'all it was a hoax, man. Like Pandemic, come on, man. Like they put it right in your face, dang. Sometimes you gotta choose, like man, this motherfucking time, I'm gonna take my chances, dang. I'm gonna take my chances. I'm not that religious, but I'm gonna take my chances with God. You get your vaccine, like hell nah, dang. I downloaded that shit. I copied and pasted, kind of edited my name in there, you know. Put a little bit of a different QR code. Put like Saint, like Holy Cross. That's where I got my. So I gotta update it pretty soon, Edit that shit, change the dates and stuff. Because worst case scenario, if they're waiting in line and stuff, just show it, and they might be like, just go ahead. I didn't get no fucking vaccine, hell nah, dang. Shit, I feel all right, you know. Sometimes I be tired, coming down, hungover or whatever, but like, after a couple of days you're pretty good and shit, Like I feel pretty good. I haven't had no vaccine. I don't plan to get no vaccine. I don't buy that shit. It's still a hoax. Like Columbus already brought a bunch of diseases, little socks and shit, coming through in the boat and everything. Fool like smashed on the queen, so the king was after his head. So he's like, Queen, I need like some boats, and that fool's gonna get killed by the king. So Columbus decided to bounce. Motherfucker was all ignorant and shit. He wanted to travel around the world. It was accidental that he found out that it was round. But then, like, finally, like, they weren't reaching land, and all his dudes were, like, tying him up, and they were about to rape his ass. And they're like, Columbus, you fucked us for the last time. Now we're all gonna bust a train on you. Then all of a sudden, he sees land. He's like, look, land. For some reason, like, he got saved, dang. So he fucking came out, and he's like, I'm gonna name this place El Salvador. And then, like, the Indians came out, like, the Mayans, like, what's up? Who's this motherfucker, dang? With the little socks. When he got off the boat, he's like, somebody put the little boat right there. I want to get my socks wet. Motherfucker came in thinking he's the shit, and we're just kind of like, he's like, I guess we've reached India. And we're like, fucking ignorant cocksucker, dang. I don't know how people, like, give that motherfucker some credit, dang. I mean, I get it with the pilgrims, they had already gone through a lot of shit. Some of them just wanted to come through, and they're freezing. We're like, man, these might be like them cocksuckers like Cortez and this motherfucker Christopher Columbus and all those fucking cocksuckers that brought like all the fucking diseases. Like we were cool. We were just like, hey, let's see what these motherfuckers are about. It's like stereotypical Latinos today, man. We still like follow them stereotypes and shit. That's why we don't get ahead too much. But in reality, like we go savage on each other, Aztecs, Mayans, Incas, like Native Americans with like cowboys, like we go savage. But then we see other motherfuckers that look a little bit funny and shit, and we're just kind of like, man, what's up with these motherfuckers, right? Like Indian, like the fuck is this guy talking about? But against our own kind, we were like, da. So it's like, we're just kind of curious, but like, we wanted to. It could have been like all crazy and shit. So we already kind of allowed them to fuck us over a couple of times until the pilgrims, they were really doing it genuinely and they were rather like freezing to death. They weren't trying to kill anybody. So in the end, the Indians were like, man, these fools are freezing to death, but they don't look vicious or anything. They have like little kids and shit. And we're like, man, let's just give them some like turkey and some mashed potatoes, and they survived. Then eventually, some of the like fucking rotten apple pilgrims started going crazy and shit. But like, because of those that really decided to migrate over here to America, that brought that first Bible, from like 14 something, you know, it's when like we finally started kind of like, like we appreciated it and everything. But like the first couple of times, man, those motherfuckers was cocksuckers, dang. They try to think they all hard and shit. But like in reality, it's just like, we did learn too, We learned to decipher languages, to language, be bilingual. And proud of those roots, but I'm proud of like the migrating people that kind of evolved America into what it is today.